Are you stuck trying to learn Portuguese but feel like you're making no progress? What if I told you the problem is not your ability? For example, when you try to understand the Portuguese, but seems like no matter how much you learn, you still can't understand them. Well, today I will show you the one shift that can transform your Portuguese learning journey. Most Portuguese learners, they start and they keep, not just in the beginning, but they keep this mindset, this belief that they need to speak perfectly. Well, when they feel this, that they need to speak perfectly, what happens is that they avoid conversations, they overthink grammar, they feel frustrated when they make mistakes. And every step in this journey feels like a pain. There's nothing good in the journey because it's always about this. It's always about feeling frustrated, feeling overwhelmed, feeling that the Portuguese is not good enough. Does this sound familiar? I need to tell you the truth, okay? I'm not here just to say something that you want to hear or to give you a secret pill that will solve absolutely all your problems and all your worries and something miracle, any kind of miracle. I'm going to tell the truth, otherwise you will keep this vicious cycle of just trying to learn Portuguese and you don't really get there, and your life in Portuguese is just overthinking and frustration, and I don't want that for you. The truth is, perfection is the enemy of progress. If you are waiting to speak until you're flawless, you will never start. You will never start. If you think about your job, your hobbies, anything that you know how to do and you do it well, did you learn it over time? Was that so easy that you just mastered? Even if you have talent for that specific thing, if you have that talent, you can do it very good. But if you are really, really good at it, was it just talent, or did you practice over and over and over again for a period of time? Think about athletes. They may be very good and they have talent. For example, basketball players. You can't be a basketball player if you're short, very short. It's not just possible. But being tall doesn't mean that you're going to be a very good basketball player. Of course, it's very necessary, but you really need to practice. You need to learn until you'll be good enough to be a professional basketball player. So just like anything in life, you need to practice. If you think about how babies learn how to walk, well, you know that everyone thinks that kids and babies learn things very, very fast. And that's true. But even for them, it takes months to be able to walk, right? So this is just how life is. And there's nothing wrong with it. It takes time to learn something and be very good at it. But nowadays, it seems like everyone wants to do things perfectly without this time that is needed to make mistakes. There's always a learning curve, and you need to accept it. There's a Brazilian saying that I love very much, that is, aceita que dói menos. Aceita que dói menos. Accept, because it will hurt less. If you accept the things, how things are, it will hurt less. So really think through this. I know that nowadays we live in a world that everyone wants everything right away, instant gratification. We scroll on social media and we have been, if you have social media, you know how it's like. You are watching videos, you're watching stuff, and you are feeling very good because it's instant gratification. You watch something that makes you feel good, and it's video after video, video after video. And what happens is that it gets even more difficult to deal with other things in life that it can be done with instant gratification. For example, if you want to lose weight, if you want to build muscle, biology is biology, and it always takes time to build muscle, lose weight, learn a language, learn any kind of skill. Of course, it doesn't mean that you will take years and years and years to do that. So if you know the right way to do things, if you know the right way to lose weight, to build muscle, to learn a language, to learn Portuguese, to understand European Portuguese, it will take some time, no doubt. It has its own time, but that time doesn't need to be 5 years. You don't need 5 years to be fluent in Portuguese. It takes less time than that. Instead, focus on progress over perfection. Your goal is not to be perfect, it's to improve every day. Small wins add up to big results. For example, instead of worrying about conjugating every single verb correctly, focus just on being understood. Did someone understand what you said? So if so, that's a win. As I just said, it's not possible to be very good at something in the beginning. So think about your goals in your life, what you actually want and need. If you need to speak with a Portuguese in Portuguese, what's the first thing that you need? You need to understand and be understood. Well, to be understood, you don't need to speak perfectly. For example, let's say you don't conjugate the verb correctly in terms of person, I, you, he, she, etc. Or you don't match the tense, right? Because that's past, future, present. But let's say that you know the word for yesterday, and you conjugate the verb in present, but you say yesterday. Well, ontem eu faço exercício. Ontem eu faço exercício instead of ontem eu fiz exercício. So if you're using the word yesterday, ontem, and then you say faço. Well, faço, it's I do right now, present, but you should say I did, fiz. Well, especially if you use gestures, so remember, language and communication is not just about the words themselves. You have facial expressions and hand gestures to help you. So you say, ontem faço, ontem. You do this gesture because the past is here in the back and present is here and future is this way. So past is there. So you use these resources to make yourself understood. I know this is not perfect. I know that you want to speak Portuguese correctly, and that's good. That's our goal. But we need to be realistic. If you need to be understood, this is what you should do first. Okay, and of course, English is an option, but sometimes Portuguese don't speak English. I know most of them do, but sometimes they don't. And sometimes you really, really don't want to use English as a resource. So this is one of the ways that you can be understood, even if it's not perfect. And then you say the sentence, yesterday I did exercise, and then the Portuguese will reply with something, and then you reply to to that person again, and you can start having a conversation, answer a question, and this will also build your confidence because you are actually speaking Portuguese with the Portuguese. So this is great. And you see, if you don't start practicing, you will not improve. So if you stuck because you are scared of making mistakes, let me tell you, you are really stuck. If you are stuck and you don't speak, you don't use the Portuguese that you have been learning, and you are continue learning grammar, theory, conjugations, new verbs, new vocabulary, and you don't practice, if you feel that you improving, you are getting better in Portuguese because you are learning more and more and more, or grammar, for more vocabulary, you actually not. You are really stuck because if you don't know how to use the knowledge that you have, you don't really know it. You need to practice. And to practice and in order to speak well, you need to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. But did you know that our brain is wired to learn language naturally? According to research by Dr. Stephen Krashen, language acquisition happens through comprehensible input. And keep this expression because it's very important. Comprehensible input. So you listen and you understand messages. The message and is basically this: you listen and you understand the message. Is not about rules, okay? It's being able to listen and understand and practicing this listening. And let's go back to when we were babies. When you were a baby, you didn't need grammar books to learn your first language, right? What happened and how did you learn your first language? You listened, you absorbed the language, and then you spoke. And the same process works for Portuguese. It's a very similar process. I know that we are not babies anymore, but with no doubt, if you want to speak a language, you have to listen. So this is going to be the main activity that you need to do. It's receiving input. Input is you have audio, you have movies, you have any kind of video, you have the language, and you need to read, you need to watch, you need to listen to, because how are you going to say something if you never heard it before, right? So input is very important. And when we talk about comprehensible input, doesn't mean an input that you understand absolutely everything. So think, if you understand absolutely everything, you are not actually learning or practicing in order to develop your listening skills or your Portuguese. If you listen to something and you absolutely understand everything, then, well, this is also good, but you are just using the language to understand something that you like. For example, you like football and you want to watch a football match in Portuguese. Let's say that you understand everything. You are watching not to practice your Portuguese skills. You are watching just because you want to act, you want to watch, you want to entertain yourself, and you are doing in Portuguese instead of doing in any other language that you know, right? That's for living your life. If you want to listen or watch something in order to train yourself to practice and learning more vocabulary, learning more whatever you want to learn particularly, you need to have something that is not too difficult and not too easy. When we talk about comprehensible input, is something that you understand part of it, not everything. So you are using a content to practice and to learn more. And if, for example, if you are using a content that everything is completely new for you, you will feel too overwhelmed, and you not be able to learn that well. Because let's say you don't know nothing, or you just understand 10%. So you learn more stuff with content that has those things that you don't know yet, but other things that you know. So you have context, you have old words that you already know, old words that you know but you don't really remember, and also completely new stuff. So keep this in mind. Comprehensible input. Something that you use to practice, to learn, that is not too difficult, is not too easy. So you are always learning new things, but not too many new things so you don't overwhelm yourself. So let's break down the natural process. First step, you listen to something in Portuguese. Something short, could be a reel on Instagram, could be a section of something, could be just a part of a YouTube video, could be a part of a TV series, a dialogue in a TV series. Doesn't need to be the whole episode or the whole movie, all right? Listen to something, watch to something short, okay? Then try to understand what they are saying. Try to absorb the sounds and the patterns. If you are a beginner and you're just starting learning Portuguese, maybe just the sounds, be aware of the sounds and the intonation, the singing, how they are singing, how, for example, an angry person sounds like. A person that is angry is going to sound something like this. But if something is sad, it's going to sound something like this, different. And the emotions have different intonation depending on the language. That's something that you'll notice, that the intonation that the Portuguese uses to scream is maybe different from an American or Australian example. All right? But don't stress trying to understand everything, okay? Just try to pick up the things that are familiar to you. Try to be aware of the sounds, the patterns, the intonation, and you can mimic, you can repeat what they are saying. They say blah, 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 and then you, right after them, you repeat what they are saying. All right? Even if it's just a few words, something short, could be just a greeting like, olá, tudo bem? Ah, tudo bem. Ah, então e tu? Como é que estás? Etc, etc, etc. This will break the ice for you. All right? So, are you ready to embrace the natural process and transform your Portuguese learning? If this video was helpful and you want more, you know what to do. You subscribe and you press like, so in the future I will make videos like this one. You can also just suggest me things that you like me to talk about Portuguese, about Portuguese language, how to understand the Portuguese, how to thrive in Portugal using the language. And remember, the main takeaway of this video is, it's not about being perfect. It's about getting better every day. All right? 1%. Think about a year has, how many days has a year? 365. If you get better 1% every day, then you improve 365%. How great is that? All right, is way better than stay stuck because you are too afraid to speak. In you're too afraid to speak, then you will not improve. Your Portuguese will never improve. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.